Hey everyone, and welcome to Already Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Star Trek, the original series, Season 3, Episode 23. It's called All Our Yesterdays. So, full spoilers for the episode. And I scanned profusely before we started. There's no start date on this wiki page. Now, I don't remember him giving one at the start, so it may just be if the episode doesn't give you one, you can't have one.
That
Although,
would make sense.
that said, though, I have no doubt in my mind there is some sort of Star Trek encyclopedia with star dates for every bloody
That
thing.
places this somewhere.
Yes.
Although that said, you'd think that'd all be on the wiki these days, right?
Yeah, I mean it's just regular Wikipedia. It's like I'm on Star Trek
Oh,
Wiki.
you're not on
I'm not,
Trekipedia,
I'm not on
whatever
the
it's called.
Trekkie fan Wiki.
You're not on the
This,
Trek Wikia.
yes,
Yeah, that's what you need to be on. If you're on a Wikia, they got everything.
aye, yes. But however, so we'll talk about this. This is the second last episode of the show of the series in total, the original series. Um, and we have an episode where it's actually this one's higher rated than IMDb. So I went in and was like, oh okay, all right, maybe this is the last hurrah before we wrap up. And the plot of this one is that Kirk, Spock, and McCoy come down to this planet where the sun for this planet is about to go nova, and they have time. Which, by the way, on the countdown, Scotty says we have 18 minutes until it
I,
detonates.
I I noticed too.
Yes, 18 minutes. If you wonder why I'm really pointing that out, check out the last review for episode 22, just for reference. Anyway, so they're down here, and the reason why they're actually even here is because there's supposed to be an entire civilization on this planet, but all of a sudden there's no readings for any. So they come down to investigate. Where do they all go? You know, uh, and they come down and they find one being. Which why he didn't show up in the scanners, I don't think it's ever really explained. But they find this librarian who is down there, and they're in the library, and he doesn't really seem to like pay attention to them in the way that he like, really listens to what they're saying. He just kind of says, "Oh, I can show you anything in this library," and blah blah, and he shows them around, and he doesn't really answer any of the questions. So Kirk's like, "Oh, well, show me recent history. I want to see where everyone went." And they're looking at some tapes, but then Kirk hears a scream.
I did like the line. It's like, oh yeah, sorry, we don't have much in recent history. There wasn't much demand for it.
Hmm.
Which it plays in nicely, I think.
Yeah. So Kirk hears a scream and he runs through the sort of door, the portal, and he disappears. And then Spock and McCoy are like, damn, he just disappeared. Let's run after him and try and help him. And then they disappear and they both go to different time periods. Kirk ends up in a sort of English style village circa 14th century, something like that. And Spock and McCoy end up in an ice age. Although it seems to be that these are both taking place on this planet, even though.
Yeah, because there is a character that references, this is this planet's history.
Uh,
When Spock explains he's from a distant world, it's like, okay, this is clearly still this planet's past.
Yeah, so the basic setup is that Kirk's trapped in one time period, Spock and McCoy are trapped in another, and obviously they're going to have to try and find their way back before the planet blows up. Well, the sun blows up and taking the
Yeah.
planet with it. Uh,
Something you've overlooked that I thought would have been really important at some point, and then ended up being just nothing,
which is probably why I don't remember it. Yeah, go on.
is that the librarian had duplicates. Like you
Oh,
meet him, and
yeah,
it's this weird version, and then there's another one, and it's like, oh, and here the third one's the real
it's
one.
yeah. This is the thing. So early on, they go around the corner and then there's like another librarian there, and he mentions he's got duplicates, and I'm like, okay, whatever, fine. At the end of the episode, though, when they're shutting the portal and the library, because the idea is that the librarians actually, the reason why everyone's gone is they've all escaped to different time periods. Everyone who was on this planet gets sent back to a time of their choosing, and the librarian's the last to go. He's the sort of the caretaker, and he's leaving. And he's so just before the sun goes nova, he like puts on his disc, his tape for the time period he wants to go to, and he jumps through the portal. And I just sort of shrugged and went, well, I guess that was the real one because the duplicate wouldn't count. I guess. Turned out that wasn't that important.
It's basically never mentioned again.
No, it's actually it's really just there.
Kirk goes, "Oh, am I talking to you, the real one, or a duplicate?"
Well,
And
at first I thought there was going to be at least a plot like convenience reason, but he never really teleports that far. He just kind of appears in front of them after they've walked around a corner. When like really he could have just
he
walked
could
around
have
with
just
them.
followed them. Yeah,
Yeah, there was no real reason for it, other than to just add a bit of mystery at the start of the episode. Like, oh, there's something weird going on here because he's
yeah.
got duplicates. But
It's fine. It's underwhelming, right? You want it to do something with it.
uh, but yeah, did you like the episode? I guess that's what I'm building up to here.
I thought it was all right. I think there's some really good stuff in it, even though I think it does suffer from the split plot with because it splits Kirk and Spock and McCoy separately, and I think the way it jumps around them is kind of jarring, and Kirk's plot especially is kind of a bit mediocre.
Yeah, I'm kind of lukewarm on it. I didn't really get what the point of a lot of it was, really.
Yeah, I think I really like pretty much everything in the Bones and Spock side. I like pretty much everything that happens there.
I have to admit, I've got some criticisms of that stuff because I don't really get why just because Spock's in the past when his people were more savage, why he just mystically starts to turn into a more savage Vulcan.
I think I think it's supposed to be along. Okay, when they go to the past, they adopt and become from that time period. That's something that they keep telling us that
Okay.
to help them fit in, and truly they truly become from that time. I think is the idea. So he is regressing a little bit, like biologically speaking, almost. His cells, he's going back to how he would have been in that time.
It feels a little bit quick, and then when they get back at the end, he just like a switches back to being regular Spock, and just
Yeah.
tells McCoy, "No, I'm fine now. Don't have to worry about me." Um, and it's funny because it almost plays out like a couple of episodes ago when we were criticizing how Kirk was willing to give everything up for a woman that he just met, which felt really out of character for Kirk. They kind of do that with Spock in this one, where he doesn't want to go back. He's like, "No, I'll just stay with her. I want to stay with her forever," and he does have to eventually leave because at first it's like, okay, no one can go back. It's a one-way trip. And then it turns because if you go back through, you'll die. But it turns out that's only applies to the people who are prepared to go through. For Kirk, Spock, and McCoy, because they were not prepared, which is something the librarian shouts out as they're running. Says, "No, wait, you can't go yet. You're not prepared." The preparation is what makes them right for that time period. And because they weren't prepared, they'll actually die if they stay here. They have to go back, and they can go
Yeah.
back through to safety. Um, but I have to wonder what the preparation's for if he's still regressing to what Vulcans were like
Uh,
in the time period.
maybe some level of safety against this as well. Like,
Yeah.
maybe this planet had a similar sort of history, and okay, we want you to be able to fit in with your time period, etc. But we don't want you to completely lose yourself.
Yeah, did they ever explain why the woman, who get as an ice age that Spock falls in love with, did we ever get much of an explanation as to why she picked this time period? Because it,
She didn't, because she was a
yeah,
prisoner. She keeps mentioning that, like she
okay,
had no choice about coming here. This ice age was the shit choice. This is the hell. It's like, well, we haven't got a prison to keep you in, so we'll send you
okay,
to an ice age.
all right, okay, that's fair enough. Because I was starting to wonder if did anyone really get to choose? Did anyone
Yeah,
actually have a choice? Did everyone just get shoved around wherever they were supposed to go?
no, I get what you mean. I think most people did.
Okay, okay. Because it's obviously the one that Kirk meets, the magistrate or whatever his position is, who
Yeah,
comes and speaks to him after he's been arrested, because they think he's a witch, because his phaser conveniently falls off, and you can see it fall off at some point, but he's still got his communicator, and he's talking to Spock and McCoy near where the portal is, and they think he's a witch because they can hear these voices coming through, and they arrest him, and this guy comes to speak to him, and Kirk just mentions, "Oh, I came from a library," and immediately the guy's like, "Oh, I know nothing of this," and he's like, it's like when you're watching like a spy movie, and like someone who's got information is asked about it, and he knows how dangerous it is to speak. He's like, "No, I don't know anything about this. No, go leave me. No, I will not
yeah.
talk about it." That's basically his reaction, and then Kirk kind of brings him round, essentially.
He just
Yeah,
talks to him Kirk style. It's like, look, you're gonna do it, so might as well.
then eventually comes back. Do you know what I think the problem is? I feel like there's potential in the plot here, but I feel like it probably needs like 2 episodes to do it properly. Because
Mm.
ultimately, I don't know. For me, they never like the ticking time clock of they're going to die if they stay here isn't introduced until quite late into the episode, and I never felt any urgency to come back. Outside, I mean, I know that the son's going to die, but I mean that's actually one of the things. Just to my thoughts at the start of the episode. As soon as they mentioned, "Oh, this sun's going to go supernova. We're coming out of this planet," I'm like, "Wait a minute, is this another ticking time clock before this planet dies?" Because we've done a few of those recently.
Yeah, yeah.
Done a few of those. Turned out not to be quite the focus in the same way. That was just a setup for why this whole time travel sort of concept was there,
Yeah.
which is fine. I don't know. I didn't get a whole lot out of this one. I felt like it's not a bad episode, and there's definitely been much worse this season. I feel like it was undercooked in terms of I never get this drive of going forward. I never got, like, even Spock and McCoy, I never feel like the conflict between them because of Spock's actions ever reached a point where they were really at odds with each other.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I don't think it ever quite got that far, but there was stuff that I really liked, like Spock trying to choose between, between Bones and Kirk. I mean, like, well, what do I do?
Mm.
And he's like, I should be able to work this out logically, but I just can't. Like, I've got
Yeah,
feelings basically.
I think there's potential there. I feel like either just not have Kirk went through, just have them two go through, and just have Kirk with the librarian try to help bring them back, and just have that be a really minor subplot, and spend
Yeah,
more time with Spock and McCoy in developing that story.
I agree that Kirk side of things drags it down, and then you have him come back and go through all the fighting and stuff with the librarian.
Hmm.
That's just really kind of just mediocre, like I said at the start. But I don't know. I liked everything in the other one.
Oh, that's the other reason why there's multiple librarians, so that once he beats one, the other one can jump in and fight him.
Yeah,
So it just makes the fight, well, arguably it's supposed to be more entertaining because there's multiple librarians. Ultimately, it just felt repetitive and tedious because Kirk just kept winning.
pretty much
He just
as
keeps winning
always.
because he's Kirk, and he can win the fight. Uh, yeah. So I mean, I wouldn't say it's super bad or anything like that, but it's just I don't know. It never like got to the point where I got excited by what it was doing. It felt undercooked. Like it's kind of raising some questions, some ideas of Spock. Sort of like if this entire episode was supposed to be about Spock, like having his allegiance tested, even under these like special circumstances. Because obviously at the end of the episode, when McCoy tries to go through like first before Spock is ready, he can't because they both went through together, so they have to come back through together. Like that could have been a really great moment where Spock had to like pick McCoy. He had to choose to like not sacrifice McCoy for his own happiness, and that could have been like a really big dramatic moment for him, I think.
Yeah,
And instead, it just kind of hams. It's not really played up in any way.
I kind of in terms I kind of like that it's understated. Like because like I say, it is like a switch, a switch,
Mm.
and he's back to normal. And I kind of like that he treats it like that, like nothing really happened. And McCoy's like, yeah, but it did happen, and we both know that.
I mean before he like when he makes a choice when he's on the other
Right,
side.
okay.
I feel like that should be played up more.
Yeah, fair enough.
I feel like there should be like a moment where him making that decision is a really big important part. The idea that he does, the idea that because obviously earlier on, McCoy calls him pointy ears and Spock grabs and says, "Oh, I've always hated that." But the idea that he also cares for McCoy as well, that could have been a really emotional moment where even in front of, faced with this love life that he's been presented with here, he still chooses to save McCoy. But they don't really play up the drama of it very much. It just kind of does it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I can't really argue with that too much.
Yeah. How he reacts when he comes on the other side, yeah, whatever. Like I don't really have too many complaints beyond just just beyond the stuff before it didn't build up to it enough that I really was that
Yeah,
invested with it. But I also thought it ended really abruptly, where Kirk just says "beam us up," and it just cuts to the ship flying, and the sun explodes behind him. I'm like, okay,
yeah, yeah. Them going, oh yeah, we both know it happened. That's kind of the banter scene.
yeah, kind of, but I feel like this needs more room to breathe and let the tension deflate a little
Yeah,
bit. Because the sun explodes behind the ship, and then the executive producer credit comes up before it's even done exploding.
yeah.
Oh, okay, that felt abrupt to me, guys. Maybe slow your roll down a little bit there. Um, yeah, it's not a bad episode. I mean, this is my fault for expecting things just based on the average IMDb score, to go up because this went up because they've all been very consistent, and then this was like an uptick, and I thought, oh, maybe this must be one that's generally better. It probably is. Maybe I'm just in the minority here, but I wasn't feeling this one as much as I thought I was going to.
No, fair enough. I definitely enjoyed this more than the previous considerable amount. I think it
Mm.
helps that the McCoy and Spock pairing is probably my favorite.
As it probably should be. They typically do get some of the best stuff.
Yeah, I
Um,
think those two together is my favorite stuff in the show. So just getting a dedicated chunk of that is
that's fair.
nice.
But next time we have the final episode of the original series.
We
We'll
do,
be
yeah.
done with this show and moving on to the movies and then next gen. So we're reaching a transitionary period here on this Star Trek viewing this voyage. to where lots of nerds have went before, but we haven't. So,
But we're really, really late, really.
Just think though, in like 10 years' time, we'll have seen every Star Trek thing, and we'll be
We'll be
well
up there with the
versed.
best of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
But here we are. So that is all our yesterdays. So let us know what you thought of this one in the comments and stuff. Like and subscribe. If you want to support the show and the channel and everything we do here, head over to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. You can go over there. You can get these episodes a week early at the dollar tier, and you get more stuff, of course, higher up. But all of it does help. So thank you very much once again for watching or listening. We love you loads. Keep watching Star Trek and other ridiculous sci-fi TV shows. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.